body and make it shine, to drink and make thyself divine, to choose another's form and make it thine.
Hey guys, it's me, Countess. Welcome back to another video. I hope it finds you all well wherever you are out there in the world. Today I just wanted to touch upon something fascinating that I kind of discovered, another sort of a link that confirms sort of Billy's affiliation with Thelema. And throughout his work with the Beatles and his solo work, he has constantly used symbolism. He's used esoteric language. He's put archetypal figures, actual historical figures, circling all around his work. That goes back to the Sgt. Pepper's album, where Crowley was on the album cover, right, as one of Billy's heroes, one of the Beatles' heroes. Along with his lyrics and the sort of esoteric language that he incorporates into his songs, he uses symbolism. And again, like I said, these symbols, these figures in history, and that brings me to the Wings Greatest Hits album. As you can see, I'm wearing the t-shirt. It's a blocked out version of the Wings Greatest Hits album. It has a picture of a statuette of Semiramis, who the statue actually was made by the Art Deco sculptor Dimitri Chaparas. And it's said that McCartney actually sought out the statue at an auction, and in 1978, Linda got it from auction. And then they took the whole family out to Switzerland so that they could take a picture of the statuette. They plowed some snow together, and he wanted like a real, snowy background with a blue crystal sky behind it, making her appear to be, on top of the clouds, basically. I mean, that's the image it gives to me. She's spreading her wings. There you go with the wings reference, right? And she's on top of the clouds because, as we will discover, she belongs on top of the clouds because of who she is and who she represents within myth and lore and history. So the Wings Greatest Hits album was a compilation of 12 hit singles that the band Wings had. And I just find it kind of curious that, the information I found on this, that it said that McCartney actually sought out the sculpture for the Wings Greatest Hits because her representation of grandeur, of powerfulness, of just, success in a way, fertility of the imagination, whatnot, that stood and aligned with the idea of a greatest hits album, Wings Greatest Hits, right? That represents the greatest part of what Wings produced, were these 12 songs on this album. So if we take a look at who Semiramis was in history, we will kind of gain a better idea as to why Billy might have sought out this statuette of Semiramis for this album cover. So Semiramis was actually Nimrod's wife. She was the queen of Babylon. Nimrod was the grandson of Ham. Ham was a descendant of Cain. Cain came from Noah and the ark and the flood and all of that. And Nimrod was in charge of a rebellion against Jehovah, Yahweh, and, built the Tower of Babel so they could wage war on God because they had no allegiance to the God of Israel anymore. They found God within themselves as, king and queen of Babylon, basically. She's said to be responsible for Babylon's hanging gardens, which were regarded as part of the seven wonders of the world. Historically, Nebuchadnezzar has been, given the credit for the hanging gardens, but it's actually said that Semiramis commissioned and had those gardens made. So it's just kind of interesting, because she was married to Nimrod, and Nimrod was seen to be this sort of deity. He was a great leader of the time. She began to be worshipped as the mother of God and as a fertility goddess. It's said that she gave birth to all of the pagan incarnate gods that represented Nimrod, basically. Nimrod equals the sun god, and Semiramis is equivalent to the moon goddess. She is known by the Romans as Aphrodite and Venus, or Artemis and Diana. The Greeks and the Romans referred to her in different names. Semiramis had a miraculous birth, basically. She gave birth to Tammuz again, this mirrors the Isis, Osiris, Horus story of Egypt. She gave birth, Nimrod got killed, and so she had this miraculous birth to where she gave birth to Tammuz, who was Nimrod incarnate. And that mirrors into the whole Roman Catholic notion of God the Father, Mary, and God the Child, that Trinity. So it mirrors ancient Egypt, and it also mirrors, present day Catholicism. That Queen of Heaven archetype is where it comes from, Semiramis, basically, and Isis. So it's just kind of interesting that, a lot of these representations, especially Roman Catholic representations of Mary and the child, they're actually statues of Semiramis and Tammuz that the Romans just changed the names of on the statues when Constantine exerted authority and made Christianity the religion of the time in Rome. So, Semiramis is involved in this mother goddess worship. She is mother of the gods, the goddess queen of Babylon, who became an object of universal worship. Universal, like I said, her story mirrors, the ancient Egyptian, even mirrors like Krishna's story too. These trinities within historical religions, basically, she is a representation of the mother goddess figure. So in Egypt, as the Queen of Heaven, she was the greatest and most worshipped of all the deities. Even like Amun-Ra, Isis, got the backseat to Isis / Semiramis. She was, because she gave birth, because she was the goddess of creation, people worshipped her way more than any other deities out there. So it's said that when Semiramis died, it says that she ascended into heaven, but then she was returned to the earth inside of a large egg. The The egg then fell into the Euphrates River, and it was pushed ashore, and it was hatched by a dove, basically. It was pushed ashore on the Euphrates River. A dove took it, and she hatched, and she was raised by doves. And she arose from that egg as Ishtar. And Billy has used Ishtar symbolism before with that 8-pointed star in his work. So that goes back to Semiramis. It also goes back to the egg. Wings' 7th and final studio album, Back to the Egg. The album cover actually has this statue hanging in the back mantle of the fireplace while the band is, like kind of like in a spaceship, and there's like this portal opened up and they're looking onto earth like they're in heaven. They're in heaven with the Queen of Heaven, right? She's right behind them. Just very interesting. Using that symbolism of Back to the Egg, and then Semiramis is attached to that Back to the Egg album, as well as the Greatest Hits album. So this started making me think about the Queen of Heaven. Queen of Heaven and the ties to Thelema. And in Thelema, there is a trinity, basically, of goddesses and God. There is Nuit, the god of creation, Hadit, which is the god of like motion and of like human spirit and desire. And then there is Ra Hukarath. I'm so sorry. Ra, I'll just say Ra. And he is the sun god. So again, you have that sun and moon deity being worshipped along with the sort of earthly child that embodies both of its parents. So that trinity is there, and I can't help but think of Nuit being equivalent to Semiramis. And again, he has used imagery of Nuit before, in the Standing Stone poem, when he's talking about creation and the way the world came to be, and the spirit's force stretched so across the sky, that is Nuit. Nuit says in the Book of the Law, "Since I am infinite space and the infinite stars thereof, do ye also thus bind nothing." Just be all over. You're limitless. There are no bounds to what you can do and what you can achieve, basically. There is another quote that I really like from the Book of the Law that highlights Nuit in her Queen of Heaven sort of stance. It's from chapter 1, verse 33. Says, "Then the priest fell into a deep trance or swoon, and said unto the Queen of Heaven, Write unto us the ordeals, write unto us the rituals, write unto us the law. Give us the law. You are the goddess of creation, the fertility goddess. We bow down to you, Nuit, the goddess of creation, the Queen of Heaven." And that is what this Semiramis character represents on the Wings Greatest Hits album. And I just found that very fascinating because, again, it shows Billy's links to the religion of Thelema. I just posted a little video compilation that I made just before this one called A Crazy Little Thing Called Love. When I was listening to that song on the radio like a little while back, and I was like, kind of like ties into what I think about this concept of love under will. It's a little crazy to think about it, and that's what Billy says is his most proudest legacy, is the message of love that his music and work has promoted throughout the years. That message of love under will, Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love under will. And Semiramis ties back to that religion of Thelema, and she is highlighted not once but twice by Billy and Wings. Again, stretching into the spiritual realm, connecting the physical with the spiritual. And that is what Semiramis does. She is the Queen of Heaven, and she actually, it's said in mythology, that she tells her devotees to call out to her, and she will respond, and she will give you blessings, And this is that whole idea that the Catholics give, to pray to Mary, and your sins will be forgiven, and Mary will placate to Jesus to forgive your sins and whatnot. Just all that kind of stuff. So anyways, guys, let me know what you guys think about this concept, about this album cover, about the cover of Back to the Egg, and just how it all kind of correlates back to Billy and his ties to his father. He is the king of Cosmania, after all, everybody. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and I will see you guys in my next video. Until then, take care, guys. Bye.
But though they may be parted, there is still a chance, Bill, that they will see